Hello, I am Xarkun. This is World of Warships Legends. Rank 16 Norm Scott on the screen. This is the commander build I use for the USN light cruisers. And that's what we're going to talk about today as we go over USN light cruiser philosophy in terms of positioning. We're going to play in the Atlanta on the Sea of Fortune map, and I'm going to make this a two-part series. I've got two games in the Atlanta that are both good for demonstrating this concept. In this video, we're just going to talk about the overall philosophy of USN light cruiser play, and in the second one, which has a better result in terms of both damage and XP gained, although this game is pretty good. We're going to talk about more of the specifics of positioning by calling the shots as they happen in that game. We'll do a bit of that here, but this is about the overall philosophy of USN light cruisers. And what do I mean by USN light cruisers? Well, we have a full line of them in the game. I suppose you could say the ships really start to kind of come into their own around Tier 3. So at Tier 3, we've got the Phoenix, Tier 4, the Omaha, both light cruisers, and then there's a split at Tier 5. The light cruisers start with the Dallas, then we've got the Helena at Tier 6, the Cleveland at Tier 7. Both the Atlanta and Flint would also be considered USN light cruisers. They're premium ships, and so would the Boise. This general philosophy or concept, the set of concepts that I'm going to cover in this video, should apply well to all of the USN light cruisers, although there will be some variance. For example, for the most part, actually across the board, these light cruisers have very floaty shell arcs. The shells go high into the air and they take a long time to get to wherever you're aiming at, and that has its downsides, but the upside is they usually have clearance over most islands. Now, I say there may be variance because some of the shell arcs from ship to ship may be different. The Atlanta probably has the floatiest shell arcs out of all of them, and probably has the easiest time clearing most islands. The Cleveland, on the other hand, might have somewhat slightly marginally flatter shell arcs, and you might need to be further away from any given island on any given map if you're in the Atlanta versus if you're in the Cleveland. Now, I've been talking about islands a lot. Why have I been doing that? Because, for the most part, the USN light cruisers from the Phoenix to the Cleveland are not open water kiting type cruisers in the way that the, for example, Japanese or French lines might be. No, they are very lightly armored ships. They take a tremendous amount of damage from battleship caliber armor piercing in many cases, as well as from cruiser caliber armor piercing to the broadside, and they're so lightly armored that even high explosive will eat into what is, for the most part, they're rather shallow hit points pools. The high explosive will eat into those significantly. So you want to rely on islands in order to provide yourself cover from being shot at by enemy ships. If you're close enough to an island and a ship shoots at you, even if you're spotted, you got the position right, then their shells might hit the island instead of hitting your ship, and if they hit the island instead of you, then they're not going to do any damage. Also, islands will prevent the enemy from being able to see you. But conversely, they will also prevent you from being able to see the enemy. So these USN light cruisers do rely a lot on teamwork. You need your destroyers out there to be spotting targets for you to shoot, and you need to support your destroyers. That's where positioning comes into play here. Generally, you want to look for areas around capture circles on domination mode games, especially where there's good island cover, and then you want to place yourself in a way to take advantage of that cover and also be able to protect the capture circles. In this case, I've chosen a position between Alpha and Bravo with a lot of islands around me. And I've been carefully paying attention to the minimap, which is something you're going to need to do in all classes of ships, but of course in USN light cruisers, the ability to read the minimap is a skill that you probably can't place a high enough premium value on, and you need to be working on it. I need to be working on it. I'm by no means an expert, but the minimap does tell me that most of the enemies are concentrated either north between the Bravo and Charlie caps, or they are pushing into the Charlie cap from the north, heading in a southerly direction. So as long as I maintain this position, I am mostly safe from any incoming fire. Nobody's got a shot on me right now, and also I am positioned so close to the cap circles that I will be able to assist my destroyers in taking them and protecting them. The destroyers in this case have secured both Alpha and Bravo, and the Atlanta comes equipped with radar. It's American radar, so it lasts for 30 seconds and has approximately a 9-kilometer duration. Very useful for situations like this. We've got an Akatsuki pushing into the Bravo cap. I was spotted, so he should have known I was here, and he should not have done this. Now that he has, though, I've hit him there for 3K. Second salvo is going to do another 3K, and I've got the radar going, so he cannot go dark. He cannot go undetected. It takes me only 4 salvos to end his life and take him down. And I was able to do that precisely because of my position. Now that Akatsuki has no chance of capturing the Bravo cap and taking it from us, he's sunk, he's gone back to port, and my team maintains their hold on 2 of the 3 caps, which gives us the best shot at winning the game. That is what makes the Atlanta such a good ship, its ability to protect caps in precisely that way, which is why if you see one, or if you see a Cleveland, or any other USN light cruiser, but especially the 2 equipped with radar, Atlanta and Cleveland, they need to be your priority targets. You need to take them out as quickly as you possibly can, because if you don't, and they can sneak their way into a position like I did, then they can be a massive threat to your destroyer, and therefore a massive chance to your team's, or a massive threat to your team's chance of winning the game. Now, again, looking at the minimap, we've got most of the enemy ships concentrated out there to the west. There was a Nagato last spotted right where I'm looking on the minimap there, right where my guns are pointing, going around this island, spotted by the Nagato, also spotting the Nagato. So since I'm spotted anyway, I'm going to take a couple of shots at him. Maybe I'll get lucky and I'll light a fire. But here's an example of exactly why you don't want to be taking the chance with trying to kite away, which is what I'm doing, or be open water gunboating, because you can be hit for massive amounts of damage by enemy battleships, particularly if you're angled. So this was a little bit of a mistake on my part, but I'm correcting that error. I'm turning around, I'm going back behind this island. As soon as I get past it, the line of sight is broken. I lose spot of the Nagato, he loses spot of me. Neither of us can shoot each other, and for the moment I'm safe. Now what I'm going to do is reposition. I'm going to get closer to this island, and I'm going to have to rely on some teamwork. There is a friendly Asashio in front of me. He's moving out north. I am concerned about his position on the minimap. Note, his blue ship icon is very close to the grayed out icon of the Nagato, who is, at the moment, not spotted. I was a little bit worried that he'd come around that little island there to the north of Bravo, where the Nagato was seen nearest, and he would spot the Nagato would spot him, and there's a chance the Nagato could have blown him out of the water. But he's playing safe. He's aware of how close that enemy Nagato is. He does not want to rush him and get spotted. Excellent choice, excellent judgment on that player's part. That right there is an indication of skill, and that leads me into another little, I guess this is not going to be like a rant, but a little bit of a lecture. There are certain people in the World of Warships Legends community that I've seen on, various internet forums or YouTube streams or Twitch streams, whatever venue you want to go to interact with the community of World of Warships Legends. There are certain people that I see saying that doing this, sitting behind an island, engaging in an uneven trade with ships that can't shoot you back, somehow does not involve any skill. I would strongly disagree with that. Absolutely it does. It's just the kind of skill that's more subtle, like the skill displayed by that Asashio, who could have sailed around that little island, got spotted by the Nagato, and tried to rush him by torpedoing him, but instead played it safe, preserved his life, and avoided doing that. That takes skill. You got to be aware of how to read the minimap. You got to know the detection radius on your ship. You have to know what your ship is good and isn't good at, and you have to move your ship into these positions with care. A lot of that does involve planning ahead. Right at the beginning of this game, I knew I was going to go for those islands between Bravo and Alpha, and then after that position was basically secured and I saw what the enemy was doing, I knew I was going to move out here north to try to get shots on them. Planning ahead, looking at that map, determining what your next move is, not playing at the range of the moment, but playing for the long term, the long haul, the full 15 minutes. That takes skill, and anybody who says it doesn't, I'm afraid, has probably not thought deeply enough about strategies and tactics in this game. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, there is, I think, well, we're in a position where we're not spotted, that Normandy does shoot at us, and here's something I will say as a little bit of an offhand piece of advice. These USN light cruisers are so lightly armored, as I said before, that, battleship caliber AP, big threat to you, as you saw from that Nagato hitting us for a lot of damage and probably a citadel. But also, they're so lightly armored that if you are facing them with a flat broadside, like we were facing that Normandy, and you're moving around, they can't quite see you, good chance their shells are going to hit a part of your ship like the bow, which is very thin, and they're going to go right through without detonating inside of your ship, and therefore they cause overpenetration damage, which is 10% of the damage that their shells are capable of. Shells do full damage when they enter your ship, penetrate your armor, and detonate inside of the citadel. That's when they do their full potential damage. And with the Atlanta and USN light cruisers generally, there's a chance that if you're giving flat broadside, the battleship shells will go right through you and not detonate inside of you, and that's the best possible outcome you could hope for if you're getting shot at by an enemy battleship. But it's not something you want to risk, ever, because there's always a chance that the shells will come in at just the right angle, detonate inside of your ship, and citadel you for massive damage. So it's only a last-ditch effort if you find yourself perhaps surprised by an enemy battleship who has shots on you. You can turn broadside, you can hope for the best, but you should try to disengage in whatever way you can in situations like those. Just a little piece of advice, not something you should rely on though. And here, this is precisely the kind of position we want, where that Warspite B can't see us. I mean, we're spotted by a plane, but he can't shoot at us over the island. We have clearance to shoot him. We did shoot him, we lit a fire, and that Warspite is dead. Now, we've got 4 kills. We know the enemy destroyer is in the Alpha Cap. If we can kill him, we'll get a Kraken, but spoiler alert, that's not going to actually happen, and we're going to end this game pretty much with this damage total. But I hope that discussion was helpful to you on the positioning of USN light cruisers. Again, I think these concepts can be taken and applied across all tiers of USN light cruisers. You just have to adjust because every ship is pretty unique, and some of them don't have tools like radar to use. But generally, principles for playing USN light cruisers and things to remember as far as your positioning. Number one, positioning is key. It involves planning ahead and looking at the minimap, looking for places to go where you can be concealed and have cover, dealing damage from there, trying to place yourself close enough to the cap circles to take advantage of things like radar to protect them. And that's it for this video. I'll see you in part 2. Thank you for watching. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks again. Goodbye.